want to introduce my kids because this is for them as well as me. Dawn Marie and her husband Rick and their daughter Olivia June. Olivia June.
She's in the bathroom.
Someone's always in the bathroom. My daughter Shannon. Her daughter Maggie. And Matt, her dad, and Amy, I almost said Lily, Amy, Matt's wife. Then we have Sean. Sorry, you were in the middle. You moved to third place. And
I think they're with Olivia.
They're in the bathroom.
Lord sakes, this is going to take a lot of minutes. Okay, well, when they come back, I'll let you
They
know.
have to go together.
Of course, the girls. And then we have Bradford. Lindsay, the youngest one, isn't able to be here because she just started a new job. The grandson's in the Navy, and he belongs to the Navy. He doesn't belong to Grandma, which I don't really quite understand yet. But that's kind of how it is. But I definitely, this is a very special time for me. I may have some trouble, so just be patient. Here's the bathroom crew.
Well, that's not bad.
This is Kara, Olivia, and Alice. Those are Sean's girls. Oh, except she's, well, you know, yeah.
She's
Yeah.
she looks like me.
So if you, my siblings are all here. The Whitley crew is here. My extra kids are here, which is my kids' friends, which are my extra kids. And that is good because I need all the support I can get. Kind of like a good bra. Okay, so a lot of people didn't know Michael. They knew me, but they didn't know Michael very well. And Michael had the most tender heart. He didn't show it. He was always crabby and a curmudgeon. But I could see right through it. So I have 2 letters that he wrote to me after we were married. The first one, and this is so Michael, I'm too cheap to blow $5 on a card. I just wanted to know that I am happier than I've ever been in my life. I hope the next 50 years are as rewarding as the first 2. We have such good times together, and sometimes I just don't want to share you. I hope you understand that. Happy Mother's Day. And that's true. He only wanted me to be right by his side all the time, which was just impossible. So the other one was the year later. And he said, "My dearest Kathy, I'm so very glad that we found each other. My life with you has been immeasurably wonderful. We seem to enjoy each other very much. It is too bad we both had to go through so many years of pain in order to reach these years of enjoyment. The trip to Las Vegas was more fun than I had imagined it would be." Of course, he won $1,000 within 5 minutes. And he says, of course, the winnings helped. But we had so much fun just driving and walking around and gawking like a couple of tourists, which we were. We're going to be very busy for the next year, but we will have to continue to find time for just us. We need that. We also know how easy it is to get all wrapped up in those darn kids. Oh, no, he didn't say that. He said in the children. Sorry. To the exclusion of everything else. I know now what an empty life I had before you entered it. Of course, I didn't realize at the time that it was empty, but now I know it was. I guess that you don't miss what you've never had. But I have it now, and I don't ever want to lose it. I think that as more time goes by, the more fun we'll have. I love you very, very much, and I hope you have a very wonderful birthday, because you certainly deserve it. I love you, Michael. Good. So those are very special. I have some others which are a little too risque to be reading. So I have to say those. The kids did read one, and then it was like, oh gosh, there's no doubt. It wasn't that risque. really. I think they all overspread. So I do a family calendar every year of pictures from the previous year, and I always put sayings on there because Grandma's supposed to give you lots of good advice, which none of them follow. So one year I wrote this, and I just really like these sayings. It says, every day, take a moment and remember who you are. Don't say everything that you think, but definitely think of everything that you say. Value things not for how much they are worth, but rather what they mean. Sleep little, dream more, and know that each minute that we close our eyes, we lose 60 seconds of life. Listen when others speak, enjoy a good chocolate ice cream, and have fun. Write any hatred you have on ice and wait until the sun comes out. Don't let a single day go by without saying to people that you love them. Convince each woman or man that you care about, that they are your favorite. Each one of my 5 kids think they're my favorite. I don't really like any of them. Sorry, kids. No, I love them all dearly. Remember, the person should only look down on another person when it's time to help that person stand up. I've learned so many things from each of you, and for that I'm grateful. I love you all very much, Grandma. So that went to the grandkids. Oh, and then here we have another one. I just have so many. Okay. This too shall pass. Always do your very best. Never cheat. Tell those that you love how much you love them. Never make a decision when angry. Be generous with your hugs. Use your manners. Remember your values. And remember that you are valued. Try to keep a positive attitude. So in Florida, we have a big 55 and older community. We have some really good friends. A couple of them just adored Michael, and when I needed to take a little break, they would come and stay with Michael, and Jane specifically, Jane and Bill. So I had an event in Florida before I came back, and I invited like 18 people to the house, and we had similar to this. So Jane said, I want to speak, and I want you to read it at the one they have at the catering. So she says, thanks, Kathy, for having this celebration of life. It's wonderful to see you all gathering for this occasion. Bill and I got to know Kathy and Mike 8 years ago. Our friendship took off, and we did such fun things together. Our mini Cuban sandwich picnics, going to Mount Dora for an overnight to see Christmas lights, an afternoon spent at a winery, going on the Christmas boat parades, our drunken Christmas bicycle rides. Wow. We weren't really that drunk.
Sure.
And she said, Jane loves to play games. Michael hated to play games. But he always played Pictionary with Jane, because he liked Jane. Our Easter egg hunts at Sharon and Kathy, sharing Thanksgiving together, and New Year's. I love, because I would have a New Year's brunch. And multitudes of meals we shared at each other's homes. I must say, over the last 8 years, I really didn't hear Mike talk much. I've come to the conclusions because Kathy and I yacked it up so much. And we just wouldn't shut up. Poor Mike and Bill, they couldn't get a word in edgewise, which is true. There have been a couple of times that I visited Mike and he had some amazing and engaging conversations. I treasure those conversations because there's nothing like a great conversation. Kathy, I know you've had an extraordinary life together with Mike. So, I'm so thankful Bill and I have shared a small piece of it. Finally, I'd like to read a short poem. And she read a poem, which I don't think she gave me. But it was very sweet because she did it. Oh, here it is. I do have it for her. Does anyone need to read?
Do you need another glass of wine?
This only take a couple more hours. Do you have enough film?
You film.
Just about out, yeah.
So she said, a life well lived is a precious gift of hope and strength and grace from someone who has made our world a brighter, better place, and it's filled with moments sweet and sad, with friendships formed and good times shared and laughter through the years. A life well lived is a legacy, a joy and pride and pleasure, a living, lasting memory our grateful hearts will treasure. So that's from my buddy Jane. So, now for my final. Michael Randall Whitley passed away May 9th, 2025 at 2:09 a.m. with his wife by his side. He was born on August 9th, 1939 in Mattoon, Illinois. He was the son of Elijah Fleener Whitley and Margaret McCoy Whitley Dobbs. Michael was a proud U.S. Navy veteran and served as a corpsman attached to the United States Marine Corps in the Vietnam War. He served 9 years, 2 months, and 1 day. After returning from the Navy, he married Joyce Ray. They had 3 children, Dawn Marie, Sean, and Shannon. After the divorce, he was a single dad to his 3 children for 11 years before he married the love of his life and my love. We married on September 11th, 1991, and blended his 3 children with my 2, Bradford and Lindsay. From the beginning of our marriage, we agreed that the 5 children were no longer his or mine. They all had to be our children. Over the many years, we have developed and grown a wonderful family of unconditional love. Beginning in 2000, we began to take a vacation together. We started out with long weekends, but after a few years, it became a full week. The first few were in Decatur, but after that, we've gone to many different locations. From California to the Wisconsin Dells, Niagara Falls, Michigan, Ohio, Tennessee, the Outer Banks in North Carolina, and several cruises. And when one of the family members wasn't there because they were overseas for their military duty, their other family members came. And that was our son-in-law, Philip. He was over in Iraq 2 or 3 times during family vacation. When the grandchildren were small, Michael read a Dr. Seuss book to them every night at bedtime for the whole week. This has created many memories for the grandchildren. The memories are very special to me, and I will continue to hold them in my heart. Michael always went along with my crazy ideas, as any curmudgeon would. And I truly believe he loved every crazy thing the cruise director planned. I told myself that all the time. I always wanted all the kids and grandkids around me in one big gathering. Michael really preferred them one-on-one. He was so good to me and to let me have my big family moments. Oh, that was big, crazy family moments. When Michael retired in 2003, he took over all the household duties. I was a kept woman and loved every minute. We began our international travel with our neighbors, Dick and Ann Mayberry. We traveled with them to many wonderful places, and then we began to travel just the 2 of us. We loved spending time together, and we're fortunate enough to have traveled the world by land and by cruise. Many of the pictures on the memory board are from our adventures. When I retired in 2012, we expanded our travel and had a wonderful time exploring this amazing world. The next year, we began spending a few months in Florida, and by 2015, we decided to build a home. I'm so thankful that we moved into a 55-plus community and all kinds of activities and made so many friends that we always enjoy our winters in the sun. The friends in our Florida community have helped me during this difficult time. A husband that you love is your best friend. Your happiness, one of the best decisions in your life. No matter how much I say I love him, I always love him more than that. Having a kind husband in your life is one of the greatest treasures. Michael was my greatest treasure, and I really miss him. Today, I just want to celebrate Michael and his life. If anyone else would like to say anything, I will get off the stage. You can come do it. But thank you all for coming. This is really special. Michael would have hated every moment. When I wanted to reserve this room, I said, I need a backup room for a celebration of life. And she said, okay, here's the menu. I can give you chicken and roast beef. I said, wait, it's an Irish wake. So this lady right here, I said, this is what I want. And these were Michael's favorites. The soup, I love the mushrooms, so I don't want it. The
done.
Okay, it may take a while.
That's okay.
The Reubens, the shepherd's pie, that's what he always ordered when we were here. So that's the menu I wanted, and she goes, of course we can do that. And when we're done talking, the Whitley tradition is those that choose to get a shot of 12-year Irish redbreast whiskey. Those that don't want a shot, that's okay. 2 shots for Erin. But if you don't want to have a shot, please have a drink so we can all toast Michael. Okay? And this is our insurance lady. She loved Michael and tried to take him away from me on multiple occasions.
I'm brazen.
Yeah, she is.
I'm gonna tell you right in front of you.
Kim Moore is her name.
Hi guys, it's so nice to see all of you. Bless your hearts. If you have Michael and Kathy in your lives, oh my God, you're blessed. You are blessed beyond measure, and I know it, and I learned it quick. I've not had a lifetime with these young people. I have not. I have been doing what I do for 30 years, and at some point, many years ago, many years ago,
Yeah.
Michael came in to get insurance, and all the things you say about him are so true. He was grouchy. Grouchy old man. Not nearly, but he was cantankerous. And
Imagine.
he was the first meeting, business, all
Yes.
business. We don't wanna.
That's right, we're not gonna talk.
And
Just do it.
then, oh my gosh, then we became friends. And then, he would come in the door and I would say, you can do things over the phone, honey. You can email me, text me, whatever. No, I'll just run down because you were still working and he could do that.
2 timing me.
And then it was hugs and kisses goodbye. And it was, take care of my friend, God bless you. All those things. Always stories about the family. Always about the kids and the grandkids. And then he would come in at some point and I would say, where you been? Where you been? You guys traveling? And he'd tell me all about the trip. Sometimes these visits were 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes they were an hour and 15 minutes and I didn't care. Because I loved him, he was fabulous. So at some point in the game, Kathy comes in and I get to meet her. Oh my God. I said, where have you been hiding her? I gave him all kinds of crap.
I know.
So, and we just hit it off like, So one day they both come in and I said to Michael, he wasn't moving well. I said, when are you gonna get those knees done?
Oh, God.
Oh, darling, I got more problems than knees. What you got, honey? And it was when he first found out he had cancer and he had that, and I just, you just pray and I held his hand and I said, I'm gonna say prayers for you. I've known a lot of people with this. You're gonna be fine, and God's got this. And we just went through some of that. So then, one time he came in and he knows I've had both knees replaced. So he asked me about my knees one time and I told him how fabulous they were.
Yeah.
Another time he came in and I said something and he didn't hear me. And I said it again and Kathy was with him. And I said, I couldn't hear worth a crap.
Nope.
You know that.
He said,
So-
it's because Kathy didn't talk loud enough.
That's
Really?
what I said. That's what I stepped in the middle of something. I didn't know it. So I said, Michael, are you not hearing? What's going on with you? And he said, I hear just fine. Kathy's going. Decided. This big wink thing. And I said, really? You hear well? And he said, yeah. I said, Kathy, does he hear well? And she said, absolutely not. I
Just be
said,
honest.
let me tell you about my hearing aids. True story.
Uh-huh.
I've been in them for 13 years. I take them out. I had just gotten new ones. And I take them out and I show them to him. And I have him handle them. I take them apart and I show him all this stuff. And I said, I have a fabulous person that takes care of this for me. And you need to look into these. And Kathy said a couple of supportive things along the way, like as much as she could as a wife without ticking him off, right? So she and I are just doing all this facial stuff and this winking stuff, and Michael's not paying attention. Hopefully, I don't know. So I said, what do you think? You want to try him? He didn't know. And I said, let me call and see if I can get you an appointment. Do you remember this?
Driving right out
I
there.
called on the phone. This is true story. He comes in about insurance, and this is what he gets. Crazy mean. I called. hey, you guys got an opening? Matter of fact, we do. Somebody just canceled. Well, the somebody was the guy I work for,
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah.
He canceled. And I said, I got some people I want to come help me see. Are you kidding me? I said, I kid you not. She said, send them out. They go. Michael gets hearing aids. Praise God. She called and thanked me. He calls me on the way home and he says, remember the phone call about the truck? He calls me and he goes, I said, Agency One, may I help you? And he goes, Kim, you're not gonna believe this. I said, try me. What is it? He goes, this truck passed us on the road. Kathy was driving. He said, I thought it was a 747. Scared the shit out of me. So, true story. So I said, have you heard any birds? And he said, what? I said, birds. Birds were my thing. I said, I just felt like Tippi Hedren in the movie. It was awful. And so we're gabbing about these hearing aids, and I kid you not, it was a game changer.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
But he swore the only thing he couldn't hear was my voice.
That's true. That is so true.
Yeah, yeah.
So last story is, they come in one day, and little Miss Kathy, cute as butt, you know, she's got on this cute little tennis skirt. They come in together, and she is now taking over and doing a lot of the insurance stuff. Michael said, Kath's gonna be taking care of that, here's her email, whatever. I said, when she walked in and sat down, he comes in, and I said, Michael, and I reached across the table, and I patted him on the hand, I said, your wife is hot. And he starts laughing to me. And I said, look at those gams. I have not seen gams like that when I was 10, 12. I said, look at that. Now, for those of you who don't know what gams are, it's slang for legs. And Kathy's got them going on. She had on a tennis skirt. She'd been playing tennis. And I said, you are one like a man. Like you are. And he just went on and on.
He loved my legs.
He does.
He loved my legs.
Oh, yeah. He said, oh, they're great, aren't they? I said, they are. I said, you need to look at those all the time. He said, all the time. I said, she's hot. She's really cute, you know. So anyway, those are my stories. I loved him and I will miss him so much. He was honest and fun and honoring.
And a curmudgeon.
Yes.
Don't forget the curmudgeon.
He had a heart as big as the outdoors. You know, he just didn't mind right now it.
No.
And I have other friends like that, so I get it. You know, I got the whole thing. I did. And I loved him dearly.
I know.
Missed him so much. So I appreciate you extending the invitation. It means everything to me because I just really enjoyed him.
Yeah, I know you did. And we donated those hearing aids back to the organization, so they'll be given to someone that can use them and can't afford them.
Uh-huh.
But I actually donated a lot of his clothes back to a homeless shelter where they don't charge the people for the clothes and the shoes and things. And his medical devices went back
Yes.
to that homeless shelter.
Yes.
Jars of like aspirin and things like that I didn't need. The people would come in that are homeless and they could take 3 things off the shelf. It might be toothpaste, it may be aspirin, it may be whatever. But all of that has been donated. And then one last thing, he had just got a new phone last year and it was just a basic phone. So I'm Google, who wants to buy my phone? They want to give me $14 for this phone.
I believe it.
I think, really? $14? So as I'm Googling, I find this organization in Portland, Oregon, that you donate the phone to, and there's 4 nonprofits that will take it and give it to someone. So I checked off, his phone will go to a domestic violence victim to be used.
Woo! I told them when they got the hearing aids, I said, for God's sakes, if anything ever happens to you, don't bury them. Because I said that because for those of you that don't know, they are about $6,000. And insurance doesn't pay them, rarely. Some will pay some, but not all. And I said to my husband, I said, don't bury these. For God's sakes, if I kick the bucket tomorrow, please keep them or donate them or, you know, because they are very valuable. So, but anyway, I was so glad he got them, and I'm sure it was a much easier life.
Not necessarily. Then you could hear what I had to say, so I had to be quiet or something. Anyone else want to say anything before we have our lovely toast?
I do.
Oh, good.